Hello, 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 everyone. This is Lisa with Heart of Inspiration. Okay, guys, give me just 1 minute here. Goodness. Okay. Sorry, guys. This is the first time I'm doing this on Zoom. Sorry, guys. This is the first time I'm doing this on Zoom. Okay, can you see me, Heather? Can everybody see me? I apologize. This is just a tad bit weird for me because I'm getting echoes. You can see me, but you can't hear me. Okay, so I got to try to figure out why I'm getting like this crazy echo. Like it's like this 3-second delay, and then it's playing all over again in my ear. All right, I'm just going to have to like live with it. I wonder if I do this. No, that's not going to work. Okay, anyway, I'll have to live with it and figure it out. Okay, so we're just waiting for Dre to jump on. And then we're going to go in and get started. So I'm really excited to be here today and to be able to be with you guys and for you guys to, we want to discuss finding your higher self. And before you can do anything, right, before you can know exactly what your purpose is in life, we got to be able to find our higher selves and know, how to listen to our higher self. Welcome, Dre.
Mic check. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. So I'm getting this like crazy echo. It's like a 3-second delay. And then all of a sudden, like I hear exactly what I said before.
Oh, wow. It was like, actually, it's insanely clear for me. That's wild. I wasn't expecting it to be like that. What? Yeah. We gotta troubleshoot yours. You using a headset though, aren't you?
Yeah, because otherwise I'll get feedback from my microphone.
Oh yeah, so you using all that extra stuff? I got straight there. Are you using your desktop that you said, right?
Yeah, so somehow I got to do one thing here. So let me see if I can like mute on my end YouTube. So I'm gonna let you start kind of just greeting the people, and let me see if I can mute myself on YouTube.
Yeah, I gotta go. Let me find the actual thing on YouTube. Let's just find Lisa. Go to your channel. Oh, there it is. All right, word. Now I gotta pull. Let me mute that. Oh, that's sauce. Hi, Heather. Heather's in there. She can hear us just fine. Oh, good deal. Let me make sure. Let me get my all my chargers for everything. Let me be right back.
Okay, so let me see if I'm getting echo now.
Oh boy. All of my chapsticks are downstairs.
Okay. I literally had to mute my volume on YouTube first. Okay, guys, I so apologize. We're going to go on and get started. Gonna go on and get going. Oh, we have faces. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so as I was saying before, Dre and I have been having a lot of conversations lately, and we were starting to talk about what this was going to be about today. It just kind of fell out of Dre's mouth about speaking to or being in discovering your higher self. So before you can ever know what your life purpose is, before you can ever really remember why you came here, you've got to find your higher self and then be accustomed to interacting with your higher self, to allowing your higher self to really rule your triune being and be accustomed to the conversation with Creator. So that's where we got to last night. And I'm just going to kind of, once you're ready, open it up for you to just start, how did you find your higher self, or how did you start on this journey? Then maybe we can start there.
Honestly, initially, how I started the journey, it was something. It was a wow, that's so much actually. Initially, it was my suicide attempt. From there, I was in a relationship where the girl I was with, she more or less was taking care of me to where it ended up being a situation to where it caused an end to our relationship. And I just remember I had got this new job. I was going to be working in the oil field, and I was going to be like just gone for a long time. And so I knew that I was going to have a lot of solitude. And at that time, I had just a friend of mine had started teaching me about like sacred geometry and just along more of the spiritual aspect of the things that I'm into now. And so along that time, when I had that solitude, that's where I just started studying a lot. Like I initially, it was when the way most people start with YouTube. You know what I mean? I just started researching a lot. Like it started with crystals and infinite waters, and from there, it was like self-healing. Like it was a really big wound, if you will, that was caused, and it like the start of my journey was basically the Band-Aid, and it started to weed out a lot of people in my life. The first one was the girl that I was with at the time. You know, like it ended up being a really hard breakup to where like I had to basically be the one taking care of myself, because for the most part I was relying on her to take care of me. And from there, just everything just kept happening. You know, like it was literally one occurrence after the other, and I was going through things that people couldn't really help me with. You know what I mean? Like the people that I would ordinarily go to for help and for guidance, like my parents. You know, like that's the first thing. Especially I think I was 24 at the time. You know what I mean? Like your parents usually are like your first. Like that's your go-to. And when my problems became more complex, too complex for my parents to help me with, for anybody to help me with, it took me learning and being in tune with myself, and really just learning myself was what basically started the journey. So just going through there, I'm so fascinated by just gaining and obtaining knowledge that I just secluded myself, and I just started just like learning to where I felt like I started learning. I was learning like almost too much, because then I would be around like people that were like the people that I had been spending. I'd spent like the last maybe 5-6 years of my life with, you know, all my friends and everything. It's like I grew past them in a sense, you know, kind of like when you start sports when you start doing sports with your friends, but you become like really, really good. So like they want you to play with like the bigger kids and stuff like that. Well, it's like there weren't even any bigger kids for me to play with. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
After a while, like I started running out of people to talk to. You know, like nobody really wanted to talk to me about this information and stuff like that. Then I'd come across people that, you know, were kind of hip but just not to like the level that I was on. And I just kept getting more and more signs that it was a journey that I needed to take on my own. And I just started like listening, you know, like there was one point where the more that I became like spiritually connected, it's like I was just like getting downloads. Like I couldn't even really explain how I knew the stuff that I knew, but like I was aware that I didn't know it. I was connected to it.
Right. So it's this concept of we have our thoughts that come to us, and realizing that the thoughts that are coming in our mind are not really ours. There's some of them that are ours, but there's others that are like of a higher level, right? Those higher level thoughts are truly ours. I feel like the lower level energies, the fears, the doubts, those don't feel like they really belong to us. Like I was talking about that this morning, like thinking about, oh, well, somebody's doing this and so might be cheating, or so might be stealing or something like that. But you know that person and you trust that person implicitly, and you catch yourself saying, that can't be right. Like when it's an unfounded fear or an unfounded doubt, it's almost like it's not really yours. Or these feelings or thoughts that we get that we've been programmed to have, right? So that like everything that we've been programmed to feel, you know, as people of color or as women or as men, we've been conditioned to act and react a certain way, but that's not truly who we are.
Well,
you pulled the Quran.
You know,
Share with us.
Talking. Hey, did you read what I told you though?
I did not. I'm going to be completely honest. I did
All right,
not.
good, because I wanted it to be a surprise to you. Then cool. So out the Quran, like that chapter 3, what I was telling you about. Are you familiar with Elihu?
No.
No, okay, so it's a biblical character, but faith. So this is Elihu. He was another master back in the day when like Jesus was 12, that era of time. And so he was teaching, and he said, again, Elihu met with his pupils in the sacred grove and said, "No man live unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. They will not do unto other men what they would not have other men do unto them. There are two selves, the higher and lower self. The higher self is human clothed. The higher spirit is human spirit clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. The lower self is the carnal self. The body of desires is a reflection of higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh." And I'll just pause right there. When you always hear me like speak on ether. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot of people are familiar with ether being the fifth element. You know what I mean? Everybody, is familiar with the four elements, but there's really five. And so back to it. The higher self is the embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed, and so is falsehood manifest. I mean, so like the lower self, literally those carnal desires, like those cravings for things that aren't good for you. I mean, you always hear me talk about like things that don't benefit you, yet we still cannot help but consume them or consume ourselves with them. You feel me? Like that's the lower self. You know what I mean? Everything that's negative. That's why you always hear me say, like, I think of things in terms of positive and negative. You see what I'm saying? Like, and when I mentioned this to Heather, positive and negative, there are everything, like those are the two, one of the divine like principles of life. You know what I mean? Like there's seven, like seven hermetic principles. You're familiar, right? Like one of the most told me, signs are for the divine. You see that number right there? You know what I'm saying? Like there's so much knowledge in this. That's the circle 7, by the way.
Okay.
You feel me? And so like there's so much knowledge in that. And so with the lower self is literally just everything that is bad for us. So like with a thought that just came to my mind a while back, and it just made sense. It was just so simple. And I was like, every good idea that comes to your head, that comes to you, that isn't bad for you, is only good for you and is actually beneficial to other people, to humanity as well. That's got to be Allah. That's got to be God, right?
Right.
Most people were like, how do I? People think it's so bizarre when people are like, yo, God spoke to me. God spoke. It's like, what does God sound like? Is the first thing that any skeptic is going to say. What's God sound like? Be quiet. Shut up. And you'll find out.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm so unchanging in my words, as far as when I say, do what you don't need this. You don't need us. You feel me? You don't need nobody teaching you nothing. That's why they say the fool, you feel me? Like the fool is usually who gets it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like he may not know anything, but the fact that he knows nothing, he knows everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's that man that think he knows something. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Absolutely nothing at all. Like when you think that you know something, you confine your consciousness into like a little box. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That you have to think outside of. You feel me? Like exactly. that thinking you know something, that's your ego.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. Like that's why even like people that didn't really have any particular like religious, like following as far as like currently, you know what I mean? Like they when they would think about, what it is that they were supposed to do, they just everything that God gives to you, you know what I'm saying, like is out of love. You feel me? So like
Right.
When we walk in love, that's why like the one of the principles is love. Is our principles love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So when you walk in love, you feel me, like everything else just works out for you, because that's the highest frequency.
It is the highest frequency, and it's the frequency that created everything.
Yeah.
So pure love, God is love.
Yes.
Love created everything. So when you get the thought in your mind, or it comes across, and it's something that is purely good for you, that's what you're supposed to attach to, so you can create your most excellent self. What happens is, so often when we get that thought, that's that 5-second rule that I've talked about, that Mel Robbins talked about, that you got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You had better take an action on that positive thought that's going to propel you, because within 5 seconds, your mind is going to say, okay, but you tried something like this before and it didn't work, and they could laugh at you, and this person's not going to support you, and this wouldn't work for all these different reasons. But that's your lower self. Your higher self, from pure love, says, let us create. When God said, let us create man in our image, we're created by love. So us, being a triune being, let us create with Creator that which he's already placed within us, and that which he's already ordained before the beginning of time. That's why everything that good is love. That's the creative energy. You're just sitting there.
I'm soaking it in. I'm vibing with you. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, when things are in harmony, it's like it stands still. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If anything, I'm just in awe that
mm-hmm.
I don't have to use my mouth to speak my thoughts now.
That's because we're in harmony, right? Like you just said, we're in perfect harmony. Wow. And this is the beauty of us having this conversation live, is that you're saying this from the holy text, the Quran. I'm saying this because I chose to take God out of a box, the Christian God, which is the same God, out of the box and the confinement of religion and man's ego. And so now love and love can come together as one and speak love and help others create from what we're bringing together right here. That's how we know when other people, sometimes people ask, well, how can you work with people like Jeremy, who are definitely not Christian, right? That he's coming from a completely spiritualist, new age, if you will, perspective. How can I work with you? How can I work with other people, that don't come from this Christian religion? Because we're not about religion. This is all about love flowing through universal love, universal life force flowing through all of us. And that's really our higher self, right? When we get in touch with that universal, and that can't even describe it. What is love? It is everything. It created everything, and it has been here before we began, and it will be here long after these human shells are gone. And that's the next level of ascension, is ascending to a true unconditional love and light, a true understanding of we are We all have life force through us, no matter what we look like. We chose here to come into this body for whatever reason. This is what we chose. This is not really us. This is the character that we're playing in this human experience.
Absolutely. That's crazy. And I think about how many people watch Infinite Waters. You like Infinite Waters?
Love Infinite Waters.
Hey, when he's talking about prana, you know what he's talking about, right? That prana you breathing in?
No, could you explain that here for everybody?
Oh, I need more literature. Hold on.
I want to greet everybody as you're coming in. Thank you. Hello, Deanna. Hello, Triple G. Good to see you guys. Feel free to put any questions in the text or in the comments, I should say, or the chat. Hopefully I did have a link to Dre's email, his YouTube channel down in the description box below. So please do take some time and show him some love if you haven't already. So we are just really kind of getting started in on this finding your higher self. And thus far, we've come to the conclusion, I think, that higher self is the self that's not programmed. All of us have been programmed from childhood, really, and told, well, you can only get this far because of this, or you can only achieve this because of this. We've been programmed with whatever religions, whatever everything. And now during this time of awakening and ascension, more and more of us are being awakened to the fact that that's not really real. It's not really who we are. And we've got to break out of that programming from the matrix, if you will, break out of that programming and disconnect so that spirit can talk to spirit. Because this conversation should happen a heck of a lot more than this conversation. So, Andrea's back.
So, that's crazy. I feel like this is the conversation that I've been waiting to have for a couple years now. I've endured so many arguments in search of this here conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're talking about
prana.
Good prana.
So that prana that he's breathing in, that's Hindu also. You know what I mean? Like the same where basically where the chakra system comes from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's Hindu culture, but what they're referring to as prana, that's the life force energy that connects everything. You know what I'm saying? Like back to the Quran. You know what I'm saying? Like this was divinely prepared for us through Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I mean, he was Allah's last prophet, just like Jesus was the prophet before him. People need to understand. In order to truly understand religion, you have to understand history. That's a key. It's key because history is not for the most like real truth history that's always being erased, burned, trying to get rid of. That's what truly, validates everything. You know what I mean? But where it says everything is bound by cord. No man live unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cords to every living thing. So that cord, that's prana. That's your prana.
Mm.
And so let me find where he talks about holy breath. Because there's this questionnaire. I really want you to have this literature. Now my sister is actually hounding me. Because I told her I showed her some of this literature last time I went down to Texas. And because I carry this with me everywhere. All my literature, my Morse literature, I take this with me everywhere. Let me find. But like I went down there and she was like, "Yo, can you send me some of that?" But my thing is, I'm waiting I'm waiting to make sure that's what I'm supposed to do.
Right. So from the Christian tech perspective, because I want to just tie everything in, because we're not necessarily saying one text over another. I like to find the chords through everything.
Right,
Because we're
right.
all tied together. So to me, when you said that, that brings up when Jesus was speaking of he who thirsts, come unto me to drink, and he's talking about spiritual water. If you're hungry, it's spiritual food. Love yourself as you love your neighbor, or love your neighbor as you love yourself. And if you want to really think about that concept, we can go there some other time, because most of us really don't love ourselves, and that's why we treat other people poorly. But we'll just talk about that another time. But it was always this concept of that there's God in all of us. If you really just take the text and get the wisdom behind it, there's God in all of us. All of us came from him. Therefore, we're all connected. We're all brothers and sisters spiritually. Some of us choose to be part of the soul family and others of us don't. But we're all connected spiritually. And when you can find the love in the other person, when you can just see the other person through the eyes of love, there's no point in arguing. There's no point in getting offended. There's no point in any of that, because I see you through the eyes of love, instead of allowing your pain to then come on me and I get offended because I've got unhealed crap. We're getting way off topic. But when I look at somebody through the eyes of love, it doesn't matter which holy text you came to this point from. The point is, we're all here. Exactly. No longer, to me, should there be any of that issue. Yes, it is energy flow, Deanna. So it is literally the love and the universal energy that flows through all of us. That's what breathing in that good prana is.
You're letting it in. You're accepting it.
Yes. Yes. You're accepting.
You're submitting to it. You're not resisting to it. You're submitting to it.
Yes. Which is why I say namaste. Yeah. I submit to the God in you.
Right. Do you know what Muslim means, or what Muslim means?
No, I don't.
It means one who submits to the will of Allah. Mm. Mm. And so, like I said, everything makes a different sound. Every ethnicity has a different language. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like everyone disagrees with each other because they don't understand how they're actually agreeing.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? If the realm of like consciousness that they're on, where one particular person thinks that he disagrees with someone, he's like right here, because he can't see out here where we actually agree. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's outside of his realm of consciousness, of his realm of conscious awareness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's why after a while, it becomes easier to not argue with people, because you just know that they're not there yet. But to even get to where you can even like walk in love, you know what I mean? Like, just knowing how to even like distinguish it, you know what I mean? Because people eventually get to a point where they understand that they're being guided. You know what I mean? Some people just allow themselves to be guided in the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, and like guided, like what's guiding you in the wrong direction, that's your lower self. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
That's what some religions refer to as the devil. Like in science, in a strictly scientific viewpoint, it's negative energy.
Exactly.
And like it's like negative energy, you know what I mean? Like if you were to be walking forward and you were met by negative energy, excessive negative energy, you're gonna go backwards.
Right.
It's the opposite of what you're doing or what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. So Deanna asks, so love and light ties us all together above religions. Yes, exactly. And
so
this is
people need to understand what religions are first. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the thing. Like religion is just like your language. You see what I'm saying? Like not everybody's gonna speak the same language. So it's like because like people like reject religion. You know what I mean? Which you more or less can't. Because when you become, even if you don't have a religious preference, the more enlightened you become, you will realize that everybody is religious. Religion is just like you meditate. If you were to do that to a point to where like that is who you are, that is as deep as who you are. You see what I'm saying? Like that means you do it that consistently, which nobody does. You see what I'm saying? Just like how like certain religions go to church every Sunday, or like some go to temple every Sunday or Friday. You know what I mean? Like that's something that will never change. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's what religion is. You see what I'm saying? Like it's an adjective in how you do something. Just like some people drink coffee religiously. You feel me? Like people like just really way overcomplicate words. Like that's why I had Heather, that's why I had you look up the definition of meditate. You see what I'm saying? Because when you think about it, like people say, I can't meditate. I can't. It's like, well, in all reality, how is it that you can't meditate? It's because you're doing it. You do it all the time. You're just not aware that you're doing it.
Exactly. But I do though think, or don't you think, I'm just going to throw this out there. I found myself, and I still say this to this day, it is not about religion in the context of additional man-made rules and regulations. It is about relationship once you get past a certain point. So as children, we need the structure. Don't do this. Don't run across the street. Don't hit your sister. We need that kind of stuff. But as you grow, you should and mature, then it becomes you don't do things not because you're afraid you're going to get a whooping when you get home, but because now you just understand that it's right or it's wrong. And I feel that people that tend to be highly religious tend to, and this is a tend, if I had one of those, chalkboards where I could put up allegedly, they tend to take accountability for their life and living out their life purpose away from themselves and put it outside of themselves. So when I hear certain people say, I'm waiting on God to bless me with a car. Okay, well, that's cool. I get you. But why aren't you taking the accountability to go to your higher self and co-create that vehicle in your driveway? Instead of always waiting for the external to do something for you, why are you not maturing to the point where you are actually co-creating and comfortable with the divinity that you are? Religion keeps us, when it's misused, keeps us from acknowledging the very divinity that we are, because then all of a sudden it's, well, you think you're as big as God. No, I don't. But God himself called us gods with a small g. So I feel like religion keeps us from stepping up into that true level of divinity, and it's divisive. So that's just, now I'm off my soapbox.
That's funny because it's like the whole time, like right when you said that, like waiting for like why can't you just like just co-create? I like the first thing that came to my mind was that's literally like someone choosing to live with they parents until someone comes and marries them and rescues them.
Yes,
It's
that's
like the whole,
exactly what it
like
is.
everybody said, Jesus take the wheel. Like it's like, whoa, well, I mean, you at least gotta like steer me in a direction first. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
otherwise we go crash into something.
right.
Have me like bless you with manifest something. You're gonna manifest something that you don't want. People don't realize you can do that. It don't always have to be positive to be manifested. Like everything is manifested. This was manifested. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes,
these were manifested. Like manifest just means brought into existence.
yes. And the answer is always yes, because of the creative power we possess. Because we were made in God's image and likeness, that means we can do things like God. So we can speak things into existence on a positive side just as easily as we can for a negative. And in fact, we do the negative more often because we haven't found our higher self. We're not used to listening and being in that higher position. So I want us to let's kind of dial it back a little bit, because I really want us to also focus on this concept of finding your higher self and finding that voice, finding out who you truly are. And I think you spoke a little bit about it, but also I think that the meditation, like if you can talk a little bit about, because I'm really intrigued with how you have come comfortable with like the meditation process.
With as far as meditation, I the best way that I'm able to effectively meditate now is to relax. The simplest way I put it was is I just relax, and I just once I get to where I'm calm and I observe what my body's doing. You know, because I have different types of meditations that I do depending on what it is that I'm trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. You know, like if I'm trying to if I'm like literally like I'm meditating to manifest something like today. You know what I mean? Because that is possible. You feel me? It don't always have to take a year. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have so much resistance, it's gonna be, it might hit you in the face. You know what I mean? But I just like if I want something like now, that's where I do I told you the Temple of Perfected Man, where I literally just I attune to the highest form of energy. It's basically just an energy field. It's like you have to go there in your mind. Like everything you do, you have to do with your mind. You feel me? Like everybody, you can't just always let your mind just control you, i.e. every time an impulsive thought comes to your head, you know what I mean, you just follow it, because people don't realize that those thoughts, it's your, like, when you're not conscious, your subconscious is what sends you those, and your ego always receives those things. So it's like that's one of the things to ignore. So like when I go to my deal, like I literally just I lay quiet, flat, or sometimes I'll sit up, and like I'll breathe rhythmically to basically like relax, because the thing is like you got to get to where like you're not thinking so much, you know, because like that's what prevents you from doing it. And I literally just visualize like going to a place where like that's not here, that's not bound to this earth. You know what I mean? I just like go there in my mind, and that's where I meditate like that in my mind. Like, and that's the thing is like it's not the method isn't going to be the exact for everybody. It's like Think about every child that had an imaginary friend or like a safe place or just something. You feel me? Like no child's imaginary friend looks the same. They don't sound the same. They don't feel the same. They don't smell the same. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's that child's imagination.
Right.
That's why, I mean, if you think about it, like the government's always trying to take away a child's imagination.
Right.
Because that imagination is how you, one, are here.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like that's your tool. You know what I mean? Like that is your superpower. You feel me?
Right.
Like you that's how you create your entire everything that you want to create.
Exactly. Exactly. So when you start the meditative, as we're going on this journey to quote unquote find our higher selves, which is really an oxymoron because our higher selves are already here. So as we're going on this finding our higher self journey, the first thing we have to learn to do is, first of all, you got to put your body into submission. I've always been taught, and we can talk about that, but that as a triune being, spirit should always be the head, then the mind or the soulish realm, and the body just acts out. It just does whatever the other two tell it to do. So the first thing is getting your body and those physical, like primal desires under control. Not overeating, not drinking too much, not all of these, not, running around laying it down with everybody, that kind of thing. I don't mean to get that, but I gotta be there. So getting your body under control first. Then we have to control our thought life, right? We have to direct our thought life and our intention. And meditation then is just the vehicle through which, or what we use to create a stillness in which spirit can be heard. Spirit is not heard in the thunder and the wind and the rain and the earthquake. Spirit is heard in stillness. And that's why we posted that Eckhart Tolle quote. He was doing a Super Soul Sunday podcast or something with Oprah, and I happened to listen to it the other day. And it was a quote from his book, The New Earth. And he said, stillness is the language of God. Everything else is just a bad translation.
Wow. Message. Oh, God.
Okay, wait. I'm so sorry. Here we go. Deanna asks a question. Is the energy field your imagination safe place? The energy field is the energy field. The safe place you go to, or the imagination is the literal area or ability to create. That's what's going to differentiate us, among other things, from artificial intelligence. This imagination, the ability to have invention, the ability to create from nothing, your subconscious, if you will, one's imagination, in all honesty, as I'm thinking back to being a child, really the imagination was just me seeing in the future me now. So when you imagine something, that's almost like setting your intention towards it. I saw myself a year ago speaking in front of thousands, having a book written and having conferences. I saw that a year ago. One could say I imagined it. but I saw the vision of it. And so that's where I know this is where it's going. And so that is becoming manifest. I don't know if you want to add something to that, Dre, or.
Oh, yeah. Tawanda. Oh, yeah. I don't want to respond to Tawanda. But,
Okay.
so have you ever seen the movie Avatar?
Yes.
You know how, like, they got that, like the little ponytail thing that they can just, like, they connect to the pterodactyl thing. They connect it to the little horse that they ride. They can connect it to, like, the ground, the earth. Think of that as, like, your imagination. You know what I mean? Like, your imagination is just your connection to God. You know what I mean? Because, like, God is, everybody always, like, tries to, like people that are skeptical, they try to, like, make God seem like just an imaginary thing. Like, it's like, it is and it isn't. You know what I'm saying? But it isn't, because, like, God is everything. But you can't see, or not even, you can't even conceive, like, an actual thought of God, because God is everything. Like, God is infinite. You know what I mean? So he can't be perceived by the finite mind, which is like that of the mind of man. But when you more or less use your imagination, or that's basically what meditation is. When you, like, I'm sure, like, when you do chakra meditation,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, do you not have to, like, see your chakras in your mind? I mean, like, you can't open your eyes and look at them. You know what I mean? Like, where else you gonna see them at? I mean, like, if you can't physically see them, where else are you seeing these chakras? Where else are people seeing these auras? You feel me? You muted your mic, by the way.
Some of us see them, right? But yes, you're right. I don't physically see them with my physical eye. I see them in my mind.
Because physically you're on the third dimension. So it's
exactly.
Like, if you're not physically seeing them, you're metaphysically seeing them, meaning that has to be on a higher dimension, because it's like, first of all, ain't nobody gonna tell me that metaphysics ain't real. You know what I'm saying? Like, you mean to tell me that, like, people like Aristotle wrote books about something that ain't, I'm not even gonna go there. You feel me? Like, and so, like, physics, don't it just seem like metaphysics? You know what I'm saying? Like it don't seem like just like metaphysics, and then, like, physics is up here. Like, they don't even, like, you know what I mean? Your mind ain't even gonna let you do that. You feel me? So it's like being able to, like, see that, like, metaphysics, that's what meditation is. That's what all, like, religion is. Like, it's all, they're all tools towards, like, to help you reach the metaphysical realm. You see what I'm saying? Like, everything spiritual is metaphysical.
Right.
I mean, metaphysics is just a physical, a more physically conceivable understanding of spirituality. You know what I mean? Because, like, you get people that are like, I only believe in science. Well, it's like, okay, like, if you try to come at them with a Bible, or you try to come at them with a Quran, somebody said they only believe in science, they're not even gonna talk to you. You feel me? But you come at them with metaphysics, and you're like, look, man, you can't. One, I'm not gonna argue with you if you're really not gonna rock with metaphysics, because it's like, I can prove this, like, with, like, numbers. I can prove it with, like, things that are, like, literally here. Like, that's like what that's kind of like, oh wow, that praise out. I was the Fibonacci spiral. You know what I'm saying? If anyone has ever seen that symbol before, oh boy! And if you ain't seen the Fibonacci spiral, you ain't learned about Fibonacci. Y'all got some
we not gonna, wait. Let's not go to Fibonacci today.
And the thing is like, all Fibonacci is a mathematical explanation of perfect God. You see what I'm saying? It's the perfect number, because it's like, it's in every single thing. You feel me? So, like, and no matter how you try to explain it, it's all gonna tie back to we are little bitty pieces of God.
Right. I'm going to put my video here for a second so I can tend to my son's dog. Hold on one moment.
Oh, goodness. Handle biz. Let's see some comments. Ooh, that is my sacral chakra. Oh, my. You found it, Heather. You're silly. So thank you for repeating it, Lisa. Never seen it. I'm around people who say metaphysics isn't for grown people, it's for teenagers. Lisa K, elaborate on that. That's interesting. I mean, like, for people to think that, but yeah, like if anything, I would just ask people how or why. Like that's what stops people from that's what literally will kill every argument. You know, if somebody says something like, okay, well, why is that? Or how? So that's like saying imagination is only for children. Those people bore me. Right? Oh my God. I feel you on that, Twan. I mean, there's so many different ways to get to your higher self. But Enoch explains this to us. I'd have to take your word for it because I haven't read a whole lot of the Bible, but I understand it though. But you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many different like ways to get to your higher self. Yeah, dealing with like extreme left brain people are you extreme any type of people are generally some type of tough to deal with. But like getting to your higher self, you know, it's just like to be calm, to be still, to stop trying so hard, to stop doing basically. You know, like there's you ever seen somebody that like is trying to help while somebody's trying to help them, and they're more or less just getting in the way of something that is just already happening and would just be, you know, done for them if they would just sit still. You know what I mean? That's basically everybody in the world that's listening to us for the most part. You know what I mean? Like, if people would just like sit still and stop doing stuff. I mean, Triple G, what word do you want me to spell? This guy maybe I should say this better. Tarot cards, chakras, things like that. It's an unhealed person, obviously, that says this. Oh, hold up. Hey, okay. Oh, it's for teenagers. It's an unhealed person. No, but no, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I mean, and that there's not really much explanation that you can give to people like that. Like some people that if they don't resonate with certain things, it's like you can't make them resonate with it, you know, because like some people will literally argue that like 2 + 2 is 5. You know, some people literally don't know that. You know, that's like a lot of things. You know, like at the end of the day, like if it causes you discomfort, just avoid it. That's the main thing that everybody kind of overlooks. You know, that's why like when people I generally always like you rarely hear me say this pisses me off or this agitates me because it's like I don't even want to put that much in. I don't even want to put the amount of energy towards that negativity to even like speak it into the physical realm. You see what I'm saying? Like I literally don't even want to give it that energy. That's why like even like if you've ever heard me say like I hate, like I generally will always like catch myself and I'll say I dislike certain things. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like when you put energy towards negativity, you're only gonna get more negativity. So I mean, some people you just can't get too wrapped up in arguing with or trying to completely change their way of thinking. You know what I mean? Like, if my thing, that's why even with my channel, I don't push it on people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just do what I do. You know what I mean? Like, when I first my old content, I was expecting to live stream and be just on my live just talking. You know what I mean? And just because I wanted to get it out, because I would go live for like 2 hours, and then I will sit and listen to all 2 hours of me speaking, because that's how I learned who I was. You feel me? I watched myself. I like observed myself. Like, I was alone with myself. Like, and even like observing that I have ADHD and that I have bipolar disorder. You know what I'm saying? Like, I studied those things to where I understand them. That's why I don't say that I have a disorder. I have a particular way of processing things. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Lisa has a particular way of drinking that cup of coffee. You see what I'm saying? Like, I may not hold the cup the way she hold it. You feel me? I may not think the way she think. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just got to be something super particular about the way I think that they got to make it seem like something's wrong with me. You know what I mean? Like a light bulb should go off in like people's head. Like, yeah, like Lisa thinks a certain way, but how come there ain't a label for hers? You see what I'm saying? What's so special about people that think the way I think that you got to give me a title?
Oh, they give me titles. I just don't choose to say them online.
Right. No, my thing is, like I said, I'm here to educate. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I teach anybody anything they want to know, because I know how to get it. That's why, like, when moms be talking to me about like should they put their children on medication, and I'm like, man, first of all, if anybody literally is ever willing to sit and shut up and listen to what I have to say on that, it will completely, like, you'll be like, all right, bet. As a matter of fact, could you write a book about that, please? You see what I'm saying? People too busy doing, you know what I'm saying? People can't sit still long enough. Like, the answer to every question that anybody, even in this chat, could even ask is like right here. It's like right there. You see what I'm saying? But like, they're doing too much. You don't see it. You feel me? Because you imagine how hard it would be to see this right here, that area, and you feel me? If you're just always like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see it. You know what I mean? Like, you just running around like, oh, TV, this, that. Sit down. Sit still for a second. And it's like right here, God gonna be like, all right, all I need you to do is be still, and now I can talk to you. I'm just not gonna talk very loud, because what I got to say is important. So I'm not gonna speak over you. I'll wait for you to be done. I'll wait for you to listen to me whenever you're ready to listen to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, that loud cat over there, you keep listening to him while you want to. He's so loud and he's so audible because you're not supposed to listen to him. That's the catch.
Right. And I think that does feed into a little bit more of finding our higher selves. A lot of times our higher self is buried under all of hurt, pain, unhealed this, unhealed that, and whatnot. And so we react to things as adults. I know all of us at some point have said, oh my gosh, I've become my father, or I've become my mother, or something like that. Or you react to a situation, you're like, I don't know even why I did that. Why did I even get that upset? Because it wasn't your true higher self. And you reacted that way out of a defense mechanism that your mind has pre-recorded from before. If A happens, we're going to do B, period, because we got to defend ourselves. So often we don't want to take that deep inner look. We don't really want to see what's behind the curtain. We don't want to see what's deep down in that dark area, because then we are accountable for that information and we're accountable to heal from it. We're accountable to do something about it. Either stay there or observe the thought, look at it, and the more you observe a thing and then look through it, it dissipates. Because once you observe a fear of yours or an area you get offended in, and you observe it and you're like, now, why did I get offended about that? And you really take that apart and then take apart your reaction to it, then you got to be like, that was some foolishness. and then it has to dissipate. It has to. So as you're meditating or you're just thinking, like, we meditate all throughout the day. We just don't realize that's what we're doing. When you're in deep contemplation about something, or you're reviewing something that happened during the day, you're meditating in a sense, because you're not focused in on everything else around you. You're focused in on that thought. And the more we can focus in on the defenses we've thrown up and our innermost fears, because every time you react negatively or angrily towards something, it's out of a fear. It's out of a defense. And because of that, once you really look at it and realize this isn't real, I don't need to feel this way, I don't need to react this way, you can look through it, it can dissipate, and you elevate. You start to get to know who your real self is in those moments. So when I talk to people about this healing process, that's the healing process. You look at it, you say, I don't need this. This was put on me from something else or somebody else, or I needed this defense mechanism then, but I don't need it now. And that's when we can truly find who our higher, I think that's one way we can find who our higher self is, how you really want to react, how you really choose to react, because you no longer have to from the way you were trained. And that's true freedom.
Absolutely.
My thought.
Absolutely. I dig it. I swear you got that. You got that old school wisdom that make you shut up and listen. Like you got that mama story time wisdom. I swear, yeah. Hey, the grandkids just be sitting there, legs crossed, like bad ones be off running around and stuff. Like, oh, word. You tell me another story. All right, but you tell me another story. I'll sit and listen to the story all day. Cause see, this right here, this how I don't have to read books for real. Like, it's how I know as much as I know with having read substantially less books than most people, and you can still research the things that I say, and it'd be right as rain before the government started making it. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Just listen. You feel me? When I'm quiet. When I'm quiet, I'm meditating, listening to you. You know what I'm saying? God speaking through you, I'm listening. You see what I'm saying? God come in many forms. That's why I even that's why in all texts I always say, honor thy father. You see what I'm saying? Basically, that means if you honor your biological father, you honoring God, because you're that's a practice of honoring that which came before you. And that's the when you trust my father came before me, his father came before him, and you can keep doing that, repeat until you get to God.
Right. Okay, here we go. And there's also spiritual fathers and spiritual mothers. So some are set in the collective, in the body, if you will, to be teachers. And those of us that have been set in to be a teacher, so if you think that being a teacher is part of your life purpose, you would better recognize you are going to be held to a higher standard, the highest of the standards, because teachers are held to a higher standard than even leaders of a congregation, if you will. Because a teacher at that level goes amongst a bunch of different people. And if you're teaching his people the wrong thing, or you're teaching from ego, or you're teaching so you can gain monetary, have a monetary gain, or whatever it is, you're going to have a special place and a whole lot to answer for. So that's why I take this very seriously, because it is a true higher calling to do that. So there's nothing to play with. If you're called to being a teacher. And I know that there are some people that are watching this right now and that will watch some of these replays later that are called to be a teacher and a leader. And if you're called to that, take it serious, because he does. And he does not want people to be led astray. He does not want the children to be led astray. So I don't know why I had to say that, but I just did. Now, you have to, Deanna. Okay, Deanna's question is, higher self is a part of your spiritual core. So how do you tell the frequency that you're communicating with in the 3D?
Like as far as a unit of measurement, or like what do you mean, like how do I tell the frequency? Like I mean, I'm not gonna be able to give it to you in like gigahertz or nothing like that.
I can find those. That's okay. I'll find that for you.
Yeah, like that ain't me. Like I said, I just keep it. I feel it and I use it. You know what I mean? Like how do I how do I like tell like if I'm attuned with it? You know what I mean? Like I really, you're gonna have to elaborate on your question a little bit if you want me to give you a specific answer.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a statement, and then Deanna, you tell us if we're on the right track.
It's really general. So I mean, if anything, like kind of like walk me into it, Lisa.
So I think what she's asking, and correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, she said Holy Spirit versus your higher self guiding you from a Christian standpoint. If your higher self is guiding you, then you're not being guided by your lower energies. So how can I put this? So, okay, I was speaking to an agent today. Most of you know by now that I work for an insurance company that sells Medicare products. And today was the last day. What are you doing, Apollo? Today was the last day for basically open enrollment. So everybody's calling and they just crazy today. The agents were. So I had this agent that was just all up in his feels about the fact that he couldn't get his like second application when I got people that wrote 200, you know what I'm saying? His second application to quite go through. He didn't know how to use the tools. And he's from a different country, and that tends to talk down to people. I'm not going to go there any deeper. So he's talking to me as, as we used to say, as if I'm short, like I'm 5 or something, And I'm like, I had a moment where I'm going to be super honest. There was no higher self to be found. Okay, I wanted to tell him where to go, how to get there. Use as I like to say, my SAT words, because, I score quite high on the SAT. So I wanted to use those SAT words that I figured him not having English as his first language may or may not understand. I was not feeling higher self at all. And then I was definitely dealing on a 3rd dimensional level, because it was all in my power and sacral and root chakras. I'm like, oh. So, but I caught myself and I'm like, you know what? You is never going to talk to this man ever again anyway, first of all. Second of all, I don't know what could have been going on in this man's life for the last 6 weeks. And third of all, this is his culture. This is how he communicates, especially to women. So instead of coming from there, I just breathed in and said, okay, help me understand where you are. And I was at a much more peaceful state, unlike my cubicle, neighbors that are throwing stuff in their cube and all upset and they all in their feels. And I'm like, why are y'all letting these people get to you? So how can you tell when you're communicating on a third dimensional? Is when I can tell you when you start to get like and upset. That's when you drop down from a, I would say like a 530, a 600 megahertz, a 700 gigahertz, or whatever the frequency is, where true love is. You drop down because now you've got conflict within. You feel that rub. And when you feel that rub, you're down definitely in a third dimensional plane and not looking at it from a 30,000 foot view anymore. You're down here on the ground in the muck and the mire with everybody else. I don't know if that answered your question, Deanna. You have to let me know if that was what you were looking for.
It just so much came to me as you were saying that. It's wild. I just started typing it. I had to. You got me over here taking notes. That's wild.
Tawanda says, personally, I would have had no problem handling him accordingly. And I'm going to tell you something, the old Lisa would have done it. I tell people all the time, I used to say, those of us that grew up or were anywhere near the Baptist or Church of God in Christ will know this saying, I almost put my religion on a shelf. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I almost put my religion on a shelf. But I don't, I just don't do that. It's worthless. It's pointless to me at this point to allow myself to be lowered down to that level. What is it going? It's not going to help me. It's not going to help them. It's just going to escalate the problem, escalate this inability to communicate. So somebody, as they say, has to take the high road. So I choose more often than not to take the high road.
Okay, so I have a better understanding of her question now. Right? We was off on a dope topic, but what was she saying? One, she said Holy Spirit versus your higher self guiding you. See, that particular question is an example of like how everybody gets so wrapped up in labels. You know what I'm saying? To where it gets confusing. Because what she doesn't realize is she's saying two of the same two things that are synonymous as antonyms. You know what I mean? As being opposite or opposing. You see what I'm saying? Like you're basically using one term that one group of people refers to as their higher self. I mean, or what they call that they're referring to. Because everybody got a different word for it, like I keep saying. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then he said, your higher self. Your higher self is your higher self. You know what I'm saying? Like, you feel me?
Well, yeah, I think what Deanna though was saying, so for the Holy Spirit part of the Holy Trinity, so if I'm going to go back to that, then Deanna, if I were to say that, then Holy Spirit is Supreme Spirit. That's why I kind of choose words a little differently. Because the Holy Spirit is really part of the Godhead and Supreme Spirit. As you are more in tune with your higher self, then your higher self all throughout the day is communicating without you having to concentrate on that communication. There are concentrated times where I communicate, that's during meditation and prayer. But all throughout the day, this line of communication is not cut off because I've become used to operating 30,000 foot view. Yet I understand, because my root system is strong enough to keep me anchored, that I'm operating from a fourth and fifth dimension in a third dimensional world. I don't know if that helps. No, you don't have to drop it, Deanna. I think it's a very good question.
Yeah. I just want to, we're trying to explain it to you, explain it in a way that resonates with you. Like, that's kind of that's the whole purpose of why we're here, you know, doing it. You know what I mean? Like, to teach. That's why I feel like there's a million ways to explain the same thing. That's why just different terms. That's why I'm saying, like, with labels, you know what I mean? Like, some words resonate with people differently. Because, like, with in the overall grand scheme of things, there's two selves, the higher self and the lower self. And Christians call it God and the devil. You know what I mean? It's no different. Scientists call it positive and negative. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just one is whatever you want. One is whichever one is good for you, and whichever one you want to do, though. That's the thing, is you have choice. Most, you know what I mean, like, belief systems resonate with the idea that we get to choose the things that we do. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever had a choice that you made influenced by something?
All the time.
What are you being influenced by?
It depends on you. Sometimes you can be influenced by television. You could be influenced.
No. And so think about, like, less, like, more singular. Like, it's either one thing or the other. What are you being influenced by?
Positive or negative, good or evil.
You know what I mean?
Higher or lower. And I think,
even, like, the chakras are set up the exact same way.
Yeah.
Because it's like, when we think about, like, the third dimension, what do you think about 3D? Physical, right? You feel it. You can feel. I feel third dimension, right? Those are your lower chakras, your root chakra. You know what I'm saying? Like, your base chakra would ground you. You know what I'm saying? Like, your sacral chakra, like your pleasure, what makes you feel good. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why the physical the physical organ that is connected to the sacral chakra is what it is. You see what I'm saying? Like, what is the most sensitive part of you than that? You feel me? And so then you have your solar plexus. You know what I mean? Like, that's where your source of energy, your drive. You know what I mean? Like, that's that, like that spark. You know what I mean? Like, that's where your energy comes from. I mean, that's why it's yellow. You know what I mean? Like, the sun is yellow. Like, the sun is the source of energy. Like, that is the most supreme source of energy in the physical realm. And so your higher chakras are mental. That's why even in psychology, you have your left and your right brain. You know what I mean? Like, your right brain is emotions. You feel emotions. You know what I mean? Your left brain rationalizes. You think to rationalize. It's always mental. The distinction between mental and physical.
Right.
And the purpose of life is to find balance.
Right. I'm just going to refer back to, because Deanna made another comment. So I think where we're missing the terminology here is, so from Dre's perspective, like, I understand. So Dre, I'm going to put this to you. So from a Christian perspective, if you're operating from good, I would say it's more like you are the saved, right? You are saved. You are moving towards being Christ-like, which is what the word Christian means, like Christ.
Yeah.
So you're saved. So the saved person is ascending or working towards its ascension, and the unsaved person is not listening to Supreme Spirit, which is what Holy Spirit would be, Creator, Supreme Spirit, God, not listening to God, and instead dealing solely in the soulish and earthly realm, not connecting higher, but only dealing with what their five senses can understand. So they think that's where, so that terminology. It's not so much good and evil as far as what I think she was saying. It is that, am I listening to the Holy Spirit and being guided? Meaning, am I in touch with God, or am I solely operating third dimensionally? Which is, we're not hearing from God. Hello, Neek. So I didn't mean to use so if you're listening to the Holy Spirit, I can guarantee you there's gonna be peace and love behind it. If the Holy Spirit is guiding you, you're gonna feel a sense of peace and love. Absolutely. That's the simplest way. Yes, thank you. That's the simplest way to get it. If you're resonating at a higher frequency and operating there, you're being guided by peace.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I like that one. That was good. That'll preach, as they say.
Hey, straight up. Like, that's what we're here doing. Like, that's what we're here for.
And by the way, Heather, I'm getting more and more and more. This conversation, Dre, and everyone that's here now, you're getting a preview into what's going to be in the book. Because I'm just getting doom, doom, doom. Like, all this needs to be explained in the book that I'm writing. And I will set aside some time, Heather, I promise you, to write this weekend.
Hey, Raina.
Hey, Miss Raina. Yes, Lady Rose, you you will
I'm sorry, I got a book for y'all.
You'll come into balance as you're getting downloads all day. You'll be able to start coming into a balance. Yes, Nick, writing the book, the working title right now is Love Like an Ascended Master. That's a working title. I may call it The Ultimate Love Walk. I don't know, but that's what dropped in my spirit, Love Like an Ascended Master. And it's all about that love walk, the true love walk, because I think we've, in some respects, just dirtied it up with this love walk of Christianity and how we've presented it. You can't be basically the love walk, as I have typically heard it, is basically you're kind of just doing what the pastor says you're supposed to do, and heaven forbid that you question, or heaven forbid that you seek to help someone else grow and learn accountability, then all of a sudden you're not walking in love, unless it's what they think is right for you, and then they could say whatever they want to say, and that's still, I'm saying it in love. No, you ain't. You saying it in a bunch of judgment and a bunch of crap, so you can move that around. We always want to clean the fish instead of just allowing the fish to come in, but that's a whole nother kind of story for another day. I'm gonna leave that right there.
So things I was just kind of lots kind of coming to me as we go deeper into this. So with initially how to find your higher self, right? Mm-hmm. There's no simpler way to really even break that down anymore. Be by yourself, get away from people, like meditate, find yourself. You know what I mean? And so then when you get to where you're starting to, because if you're by yourself and if you don't think, you don't speak, and you're not around anybody, you just go in the woods. I'm not saying go in the woods, but it's inadvertent. If you were just in the woods for months on end, just months, you never came out of the woods, and you didn't speak a single word, there ain't no way you wouldn't have found yourself, because you would get to where you're no longer influenced by outside influences, and so the only thing that you're experiencing is from that which is from within. And so it's like once you get to where you find your higher self, like your true self, that's where that's when you get into your higher chakras, you know what I'm saying? Speaking your truth, affirming things, affirmations. I mean, that's your throat chakra, you know what I mean? Like your third eye chakra, being able to discern things. Like, I mean, that's the perfect way to answer, how to distinguish your higher self from your lower self. You see what I'm saying? And your crown chakra, that's your higher self. And so it's
Yes.
like, how do you use, like, how do you physically explain those things? That's what the seven hermetic principles. That's like the name that the term that I'm familiar with. That was the first way that I learned it. But there's seven principles of just how the world works. You know what I mean? Like that's why I like mentalism, the first law being like mentalism or consciousness. Like most people like kind of understand these a little bit because like everybody's familiar with the axiom as above so below, as within so without. You know what I mean? But like most people just like that's how when people just like are just so or they heard it and then they're just repeating it because they don't know exactly what it is or they don't know the other six principles that is a group of. You see what I'm saying? Because like the first one being like the law of consciousness or mentalism, everything starts in the mind. And so from there, then there's the law of correspondence, as above, so below. So what's in my mind also exists on the outside of my mind, i.e., as within, so without. You know what I'm saying? Like this ain't nothing you can argue with me about, and I'm at the same time, you don't have to agree with me. Go look it up. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a reason that like the text like this would, and it's not even. And this ain't out the Quran. It's out of the book. You know what I mean? But like these same principles, they're everywhere. You know what I'm saying? The third law of vibration. You know what I mean? Like how many people in the world right now do you think there are that are saying like keep positive vibes but don't even know what that means? Don't even realize that that's like a truly like divine sacred law because everything is vibrating. And then you get these pompous scientists that, oh yeah, we explain this because atoms are always moving. And man, like you didn't discover nothing. How you discover something that was already here before you was? You know what I mean? You discovered it because it's new to you. And so then the law of polarity. You know what I'm saying? Like there's everything has poles, just like even like hot and cold. You know what I mean? Like they're two different poles of the exact same scale. You got the law of rhythm. Everything is going in and out, back and forth. You know what I mean? Everything has an ebb and flow, just like the tides come back and forth, just like you breathe in and out. You know what I mean? Like nothing just goes continuously one direction or one way. Everything is a part of something that's a some sort of give and take. That's Chinese refer to it as yin and yang. You know what I mean? Like not one is better than the other. They mean the exact same thing, just in a different perspective. Mostly in a different language. I mean, you have the law of cause and effect. That's what like everything is. You know what I'm saying? Like I make a cause. You know what I'm saying? Like there's an effect. Like everything has a cause and effect. If I drop something, the effect is it's either going to break, it's going to make a sound. There's going to be something that happens because I did something. Just like when I speak in affirmation and I think it really hard, you know what I mean? That thought becomes a physical manifestation. You know what I mean? Like that's cause and effect. Like that's as real in science, and these are all things that are applicable to everything. I mean, there are literally only seven like principles that every single thing have in common. And so the last one being the law of gender, and what gender is referring to, just like in male and female, it's mostly referring to positive and negative. And so, I mean, like once you get to where like you can distinguish that higher source of energy, that's how you that's how you understand it from the most definitive scientific point of view.
Yes.
I mean, like everything spiritual can be explained with the physical tools that we've been given. So that's all these things are. Like religions are tools, sciences are tools. You know what I mean? I was like, I literally, you give me, I could put astrology and psychology together so well to where like they basically are like left and right foot.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how first of all, that's how I understood astrology was studying psychology. I mean, I don't read a whole lot of astrology, honestly, because like I really don't do a whole lot of reading, period. Because like, look at how much I move, look how fast I talk. You know what I'm saying? I'm meant to be doing stuff. I ain't got time to be just sitting and reading no book. I'm gonna be in California next weekend. Like that perfect example. I just got back from Chicago. Before that, I was in Dallas. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, even if I haven't studied, even if it's something I haven't studied about myself, just observing myself, I know I'm not meant to be sitting still. Because otherwise, why do I want to move all the time? Especially when I move in ways that aren't necessarily bad for me. I mean, like that's why you have to use your energy that you have, but listen to the right guides. I mean, there's no coincidence that you've seen so much in movies and TV shows, like the devil and the angel concept on the shoulder, because that person that's in that physical body has to listen to one or the other.
Right.
And your actions will show which one of them you're listening to. I don't have to be able to see them to know which one you're listening to.
Exactly. Follow. Okay, guys, we've been on for quite some time now. We're gonna start wrapping this up here. If there are any more questions that anyone has that we can answer now, let's do that. Let's ask them. I'm gonna let this kind of come out. Otherwise, I'm going to start to go on and wrap this up.
Hey, Heather just hit the nail on the head with that one there. I was just responding.
So within the thoughts within your head as within will be manifested in your physical reality as without. That is perfect. Because that's so true. Your thoughts will manifest.
That's why I got all these affirmations on my wall. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that's real.
Yes. Okay, guys, we're gonna wrap this up because I some of y'all have class with me in the morning, and you know I don't like anybody to be late.
Right. Speaking of traveling, I gotta go to I gotta go to 3 hours to Wichita in the morning. I'm preparing for my California trip.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh yeah, see, like major moves. If you think I had a friend, one of my old military homies, DM me today, said, "You my hero, man." Is that I'm like to be able to just drop everything and just chase what you're passionate about. You know, I was like, you know, like sometimes, man, you just gotta go for it. You know what I mean? You gotta have faith. Just like even in the biblical story where Jesus walked on water and told who was it? Peter. That Peter, come out here with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm super paraphrasing because you know I ain't read the Bible, but it's like that's what I'm saying. I don't have to read it to understand it. You know what I mean? That's why I get jiggy with it. And so it's like walk out here. Peter started, you know, walking out there, you know, but he still he still walking in fear a little bit. You know what I mean? So he starts sinking. He see them waves crash. He starts sinking, and he just completely lose all faith. It's like, oh no, I ain't gonna make it, and he sink. I mean, like it was his faith. It was his faith that had him above water, and then his disbelief. I mean, his lack of faith that had him underneath the water.
That's right.
I mean, even that's deeply symbolic. You know what I mean? Like you either on top, you either up here. You see what I'm saying? Or you down here.
Right. Right. That's exactly what it is.
And what Jesus say? You have little faith.
Yep.
If you have, I got faith that I told you I was going to be to California. I've meditated. I did the Temple of Man, everything. I was like, yo, I'm going to make it to California safely. I've been praying and meditating about my truck. You know what I'm saying? Like, but hey, you know what I mean? Like, that's one thing that always lets me know, like, that reminds me, you got to submit. You know what I mean? Because, like, whenever I'll be trying to manifest things exactly how I see them in my mind. But it's like, the way I get them is I get the result that I want from what I was trying to manifest. I get the exact same result, but it don't be the same vehicle, literally.
Mm-hmm. You have to
I'm praying. Yeah, I'm praying that my truck gonna make it out there. I get a plane ticket. What? Hey, God be like, yo, why you don't have no faith in me? Clearly, you know what I mean? Like, why you always you really want to drive your truck 24 literal hours? You know what I'm saying? You really ain't have faith enough to ask me for a plane ticket. You know I would have got you a plane ticket.
Yes.
You gotta think big. You know what I'm saying? Like the universe, like manifesting big stuff. You know what I mean? Like, just imagine if you was a genie, but the person that got you out of that lamp that you've been in for 1 billion years, you finally get to like flex your genie, and he wished for some ice cream or something stupid like that. Like, you're gonna be mad.
Exactly.
You're gonna be mad.
Exactly.
All right.
We're gonna let this go tonight. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dre, for coming on and doing this. This was a fabulous time, and this was a very powerful time. And I really appreciate you, and I appreciate the wisdom and the peace and the knowledge that is you. So everybody, I thank you for coming out. We're gonna get this up, and we're probably gonna chop this up into some bite-sized pieces. But we'll do this again very soon. Okay, guys?
Oh yeah. I had fun. I like this. You definitely gonna have to schedule a part 2. We're gonna have to do a couple of these.
Yes.
Yeah, 13 watching. This how you grow the numbers right there.
Yeah.
But I mean, people are learning. That's what's most important, because just like what we spoke about over the phone, like,
yeah,
as long as people are learning, numbers will come. If you build it, they will come.
Important thing. Okay. All right, guys. Peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. I love you guys.
Islam.
Namaste. Peace.